Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Dark Obsession. This is the story of Domino Cherry. Now before we get started, I just want to go and tell everyone, because where the crimes took place at, it takes place in Germany, and Germany doesn't exactly release a lot of information as much as they do in the United States and the UK, etc. But the information I did get was about as much as I could get considering the case. Now, Domino Cherry was born Sarah M. I'm not sure what her actual last name is, but that is, like I said, the name that Germany was willing to release. She was born Sarah M. in 2002, and she was born in Switzerland. Her parents would go and say that she had a very good upbringing, and as a kid, she was very positive, she was very loving, and was around a loving environment. They would even go and say that she had a very good relationship with her pet bunny rabbit that she would take care of as a child. And as she grew up as a teenager is where we started seeing more and more changes. She became less involved with her parents. She became very shut out. She started wearing clothes that was not normal around her other classmates. She started wearing ripped jeans, very dark makeup, would listen to heavy metal. But what would really be shocking about her personality was she would just say things for shock value. She would begin telling people that she was a prostitute or she was pregnant, just anything to get a rise out of people. And this would go back and forth for a while to where she was actually sent to a psychiatric hospital. And she would be released around the time that she was 18 or 19. Around this time, she started seeing a man named Leon. And around the time that she started seeing him, she started creating a very dark obsession with serial killers. Now, I know a lot of people are intrigued by serial killers, but Sarah M. had an infatuation with serial killers for another reason. She actually loved them, and she loved reading their stories and loved reading how they killed people. Completely polar opposite of how most people are intrigued by serial killers, in the sense that they're curious in how their mind works. She would actually put posters of Richard Ramirez up on her wall and make him a background on her cell phone. And she would also do the same thing for the infamous serial killer Ted Bundy. It is also said that she would take a Sharpie and draw a pentagram on the palm of her hand, just as Richard Ramirez had it done. And it is also known that she would draw another symbol on her arm that is actually illegal to wear or draw in the country of Germany. I'm not going to say what it is, but let's just say it's affiliated with Germany's history and Adolf Hitler. During this relationship, she would try to get Leon to do very dark acts during intimacy, to the point that he would tell people that she would make him choke her, and at some points he was being told by Sarah M. that she wanted him to quote-unquote grape him. At which point Leon was just kind of freaked out by this, so he pretty much called off the relationship. Sarah M. was essentially crushed from the breakup, and that feeling of being crushed would turn into anger, which is actually pretty normal. But what was not normal was she would go and start planning how to murder Leon. She would go and think of different ways could kill him. She would even go and ask people if they would be willing to kill Leon. At which point, she started creating a completely dark plan. She would take this picture and then start going on different dating apps. And as she would download these dating apps on her phone, she would post that picture as a profile and start going under the name as Domina Cherry, which, if you break it down and translate it in German, it basically means dominatrix cherry. But where she would find most action is on the dating site Badoo. And on Badoo, she would post that poster under the guise as Domina Cherry, and in her caption would say, "I am a virgin, but I'm willing to do anything sexual," and basically was going around saying anyone wants to hook up and meet up and be sexual, but was going under the guise as a virgin. She would also go online and look up who is the most prolific serial killer in the world, and would find a name under the UK, a doctor who had killed about 225 people. So she had made a plan to becoming the most prolific serial killer online. And within 3 days, she had gotten close to 250 messages on Badoo, and she had actually made plans on meeting up with each one of these people. But then she would get a message from a different man who was new to the area named Zaid. Zaid would find her profile and he would message her and ask if they can meet up and hang out. He was originally from Iraq and he was new to Germany and he just wanted to find love. So they would meet on May 1st, and unbeknownst to him, she would have a giant knife with her. And they would park to a secluded place to where she would go and take the knife and stab him in the neck. But it didn't kill him. So he would get out of the car and be bleeding and everything, and she would just go and try to escape. Eventually, someone would track down Zaid in the middle of the highway to where they would take him to the hospital, but he was pronounced dead within 24 hours. Sarah would be found in a town very close by where she was covered in blood, and she kept muttering, "I murdered him, I murdered him, I murdered him." It wouldn't be long before people in the village would actually call the authorities, and she would be hauled off for investigation. This is a photo as she was being led into the trial, where she would draw a pentagram on her hand just as Richard Ramirez, and she would not show any kind of remorse about her actions on killing Zaid, to which they would find her mentally insane, and she would be sent to spend 20 years in the psychiatric ward. The only good thing about the fact of her going to the psychiatric ward is a psychiatric ward is not worked as a prison, because in most wards you're not actually allowed to be released until they can find you mentally sane. And the fact that she has to spend 20 years in a psychiatric hospital, chances are she will never be released to see the light of day. And I by no means don't think that she should ever be released, because if she's ever found released, we would probably have another Ed Kemper on our hands. Sarah's mother still remains contact with her to this day. And sadly, Zaid was actually just a guy looking for love, and he just happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Also goes to show you, not everyone is who they appear online.